Welcome, guys. Here is Case Music Official. If this is your first time, consider subscribing, like the video, and share it to your fellow musician. Now we are looking at some of the reasons why most of the times you spend time to layer several patches, especially in the MIDI softwares. Or if you are not using MIDI software and you are using those advanced keyboards like DS, Motif, montage and those workstation, this concept will help you as well. So stay tuned and watch the video. Sometimes we spend time to layer several patches. When we listen to them via our headset, it sounds so clean and pleasant. But when we take it to our church, it sounds absolutely different. Okay. So we have layering techniques that you need to know if you want to master the art of layering tones, whether with MIDI or with your hardware keyboard. So this time around, we are looking at the concept of panning when it comes to stacking voices in our MIDI sections. Okay, so let's assume we want to layer a sound that contains piano, strings, something like pad. You want to also have bells in it. You want to also have tines in it. You also want to have organ in it as well. So I've mentioned almost 6 different voices here, and we want to layer them for them to sound so pleasant in our ears whatever we play them. Okay, whenever you have this kind of idea, there are a lot of things that you need to also consider, because after layering all these stuff, you're going to play it at church, and at church we know that it's not only the keyboard that we do listen to. We also listen to the drums, we listen to the bass, we listen to the lead guitar, the trumpet, especially the vocals. That's these elements comes together when we are playing for the church. Okay, so what I'm about to teach you here, it goes deeper than playing just being a normal keyboard player. There's more of sound engineering. Okay, now when you go to church, go and ask your sound go and ask your sound engineer when he's balancing on a mixer board. The panel law says that we need to keep the vocals at the center. We need to keep the kick at the center. We need to keep the bass at the center. So the panning, if you don't understand panning simply means placing each of the sounds in the stereo field. Okay, so distributing the sound signal in the stereo field. So let me give you a classic example. If you look at your church PA system, you can see the speakers has been placed right and left. That's the stereo field. Okay, so one speaker at far left and one speaker at the right. Now this what happened. If you have headset, the headset also we have right and we have left. Okay, so this is what the sound engineer does. If you have a proper sound engineer, he understand what I'm saying here. We have in a mix, we do have what we call the core element. Okay, our primary element. So in the context of you playing in the church, our core element or your primary element will be your vocals. That's the most important element in your mix. Okay, the vocals, that's the lead vocals, the one who is leading the praises or the worship. He's the most important element that the audience need to hear. Okay, so always the sound engineer places that person at the center. I want you to understand the whole scenario when it comes to layering. Okay, so the sound engineer places that person at the center. So for instance, the speaker, one is at left, one is at right. So the vocalist is being placed at the center. Okay, now when it comes to the kick too, we need to also hear the kick, I mean the drums. So the engineer plays the kick at the center as well. And moreover, sometimes he also places the snare at the center. Okay, it depends, but sometimes you place the snare also at the center. Now I've mentioned 3 elements here: the vocals, the drums kick, the drum snare. And also we do place the bass guitar at the center. You understand? So I've mentioned almost four elements that has been placed at the center, because these are the core elements. These are the primary elements that we need to hear in the groove that keeps the groove tight. Okay, so all these four elements are occupying the center. You understand? Now you being the piano, you being the pianist who is layering sounds for organ, piano, strings, all these stuffs. You are layering them to compete with the guitar. All these stuffs play at the same time. You have to sit down and factor all these elements that I've just mentioned. Just find the space where there's no you can occupy. Just find those spaces and sit there. So how does this work? The guitar, usually we place them far left. If you are playing two guitars, we place one at the far left and one at the far right. Okay, we don't place the guitars at the center. So if you have, for instance, let's list down the element that we're going to be need. We're going to be layering here. First, we're going to layer piano. Two, we're going to be layer something like strings. Three, we're going to be layering pad. Four, we have organ, something like that. Five, we're going to have times. Six, let's have, for instance, bells. Okay, so I have almost six sound here. All right, so let's see how we can layer the entire stuff. If anything comes into it, we'll add it. Okay, so don't worry. So I'll be using contact for illustration. As I said to you, it don't work only with contact. You can apply this in every keyboard that in every keyboard. When you're layering, you can apply this concept to it. So let's first load the piano voice. You can use any piano voice. Okay, I'm using Roland Phantom or library, contact library. Okay, so let me just load the first piano patch. Okay, so let's listen to it. This is the piano. Okay, so let me demonstrate something to you. Now if I play the piano voice at the far left, if I play the piano voice at the lower octave, look at the frequency spectrum here. You know, it is even. Okay, but when I play it at the higher octave, you can see it plays. Look at the signal here. It's placed from the right hand of my headset. Okay, so those guys who designed this library understand what I'm teaching here. So let's bring that concept into what I'm about to teach. The piano, we have it here. Now let's go ahead and load. For instance, let's load times. Okay, so we have times. Let's go to motif SF library. Okay, so let's load, for instance, DS0. This is times. So this is times with piano. So if you play them together, listen. Okay, so at the basic level, you might think this is so clean, this is okay. That's where your problem lies. Okay, at this point, you have done nothing yet. This is just you stacking two voices together. That's not layering. Okay, now let's go ahead and add organ sound. So under the organ category, let's see if we can find something better here. And this is the organ category, so let's look for maybe just one. Okay, so this is just okay. uh, okay, so let's take for instance this Greece voice here. So together with these three voices, this is what we have. Oh, I done that. Okay, so this is the only three voices that I will just bring on board. Now let's go and add maybe our, let's look for a very strange sound. Okay, so strange. Let's say we want to add this almighty. So this is a strange voice. Now for the strange voice, let me pick it up from Yamaha PSR 900 instead. Okay, so let's go to that folder. So here's the strings folder. I'm taking the first strings. Okay, so we have it also on board. Now let's go and look for, I think we said we're going to be using some bells here. So the bells, I think the bells is almost similar to the time. So instead of the bells, I'll be choosing a choir sound. Okay, so that's kind of sound with some breath in it. Okay, so with that, let's go and look maybe inside Roland Phantom. You can find something there. So let's look for the voice category. You can find Angel Squire, something like that. Let's bring it on board. Okay, so this is the Angel Choir. Now we have how many voices? One, two, three, four, five voices here. Okay, so if you want to add more, you can, but let's limit ourselves for now. Okay, now let's apply the concept of panning. As I said to you, we know that right now our middle is occupied, but if you look at this is the panning. Okay, so the first slider here is the volume. This is the volume, or this is the gain button. Okay, the second slide that you can see here is what we call the pan. Even in your digital keyboard or your workstation, you also have the pan in there. So what I'm teaching here, you can just take it to your motive, to your advanced, any keyboard that you're using, going to find what I'm teaching here in there. So we know that our center is occupied already, as I said to you. So I'm going to just solo the first voice. That's the soul true piano. Okay, so let's listen to it. Okay, this just by the way, I want to reduce the release from 8. Okay, I always want to have the piano soul that they just by the way is not part of the lesson. Okay, so this is the so true piano, but at the default settings, it is at middle. You can see center. Okay, so this is what you have to do. Now I'm taking it away from the center to either the right or the left based on what you want. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it to my right hand instead. So I'm putting that one. Let me put it around 22 right. Okay, around the 20 range. I've placed it there, so let's listen to it. Okay, let me take it far a little. Okay, 30. All right, so 30 is quite cool for me, so I've put the piano to 30 right. Okay, so if you have to look at the frequency spectrum, you can see now it has this right signal has gone higher than the left signal. That means I've shifted to the right. Okay, now if you compare these sounds here, you can see the piano. We also have tines here, organ and strings, choir here, but it's we have tines here, and tines is quite similar to the piano because they are all keyboard instruments. Okay, so I'm just going to come to my tines. Let me unmute it. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm coming to my times here, and I have the piano here. So let me come to my times, and let me mute the rest. So I have my times here. Now, since I pan the piano to 30, right, I'm going to do the same for the times, okay? So you can see the times and the piano, they are almost, they sound similar. Listen to the times, how it sounds like. Okay, so the time signs sound similar to the piano. So I'm just going to take it to the opposite of the piano. So I've taken the times to right, left. Okay. Okay. Now let's do something. Let's unmute the piano. Let us unmute the piano. Okay. So that's for the times. So it means this means that the time is playing on the left hand and the piano is also playing at the right hand. That's what it means, okay? So now let's go to the grease, that's the organ. So I'm just going to unmute it and just dance around it. So we have the space of 30 occupied with the times and the piano. Now let's push the organ either to the right or the left. So if you are to put it, let's place it around 60, okay? So 60 right. Let's listen to it. All right, so it's just a matter of just you experimenting where is good for you. So let me bring it to maybe 60 left and see as well. Okay, let me check that one. Okay, so I think bring it to the right, to the left hand sounds more better than the right hand. We also have our strings here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to push the strings. You know, there's angels choir and the strings sound similar. So I'm just going to take them apart. Okay. Let me put them around 80. Okay. Around the 80 range, 79 we're about. Okay. So around this place, this is 79 and this far up seat. All right. So there's 79 left, 79 right. Now let me solo the strings for you to listen to it. Let me solo the angel square as well. So you can hear that the angel square is playing far left and the strings is also playing at the right. Okay. The reason why I did that because the choir and the strings almost have similar sound, okay? So to keep them apart for the audience to recognize these two different sounds easily, I need to separate them. So this is what I've done, okay? So after panning the items right and left, the next thing for you to do is just adjust the gains, okay? So just control the volume starting from the, let me mute all the stuffs here. Let me start from the piano. Now the piano and the times, I'm going to balance them by just adjusting their gains. So I know for the zero, no of the instrument, none of the instrument is there to compete with the none of the instrument is there to compete with the kick, the vocals, and the aforementioned style that I mentioned earlier. And also at the 100 range, I left it there for the lead guitar, the backing vocals, and those stuff. Okay, so I occupied the range from the 30, the 70, and the, I think, yeah, and the 80 were about, the 50 were about. So I have spaces there for other instruments as well. Okay, so I'm not occupying all the stereo field. I've left some space for the other instruments. Okay, now let's adjust the gains for the times. Let me reduce it a little. Yes, let's listen to it. Okay, I just want to have that high end feel, that time feel to the piano. All right, so let me also have the organ. All right, so I have the piano, the organ where now let me unmute the strings as well. It's so loud. Let's bring it down. All right, the strings is so harsh. Let me reduce the cut off a little. Okay, so let me just bring it down. I can see cut off here where about. Okay, so here's the cutoff. The cutoff just reduces the harshness of the sound. All right, let me reduce the strings a little. Okay, so now let me unmute the choir sound. Okay, so this the basic way of layering sound. Okay, this just the basic steps that you can follow to layer sound. This is not all. This is just the concept of panning when it comes to stacking sounds, either in a hardware or in a software. Okay, so this just to illustrate how to go about it. In the next coming lessons, I will show you how to use equalizer on these stuff to create space for, if you compare the piano to um the the times, some of the frequencies in the times we don't need them, but because of I'm just showing how to pan these elements, I won't dive deeper into it. Okay, so in the coming up lessons, I will show you the various techniques that you can apply to this stuff to make them sound so pleasant anywhere that you take them to. So if you enjoyed the video, kindly like, share it to your fellow musicians, and let's keep the vibe going. Thanks for your time.